these are businesses and they need money, they need revenue to operate. They've really changed their business models over the years. One of the sticking points has been international students. And as we know, schools like Columbia, like Harvard, have a lot of shares of international students. Harvard, it's 27%. Columbia, I think I've heard it's been as high as 40%.
Which they celebrate that as a diversity.
Yes, yes. But there's certainly questions of, should we be giving tax benefits? Should the U.S. be giving tax benefits to schools that are serving large shares of international students? So that's one thing when we talk about a business. Schools need revenue to operate. They've expanded. They've gone into master's programs. We were just talking about this as a way to bring revenue in. And there's going to be huge changes next year for student borrowing, especially graduate school degrees.
Whoa, what's that? Because I borrowed to the max when I got my MBA.
Right. Well, but a year at Harvard Law School is $120,000. Wow. 1 year. And of course, if you're going to a place like Harvard, you're getting top jobs. You have the opportunity to get huge payments in your jobs. And I could pay that off. But the government is asking questions. Well, why do these programs need to be so expensive? So instead of borrowing what they say up to the cost of attendance, which could be that full $120,000 a year times 3 years or 2 years an MBA program, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
and do you know what the interest rate is for a Grad Plus loan is?
No.
Take a guess.
I don't know. 10%.
9%.
Oh,
Close.
wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The 10-year treasury is only, all right, 4.44%.
But that doesn't even include your origination fee.
Yes.
Yeah. So what does that mean for, let's say I have a daughter who's going to be a senior in high school, getting ready to, to file for all the paperwork that we have to do? What does it mean for us if, let's say you have that threshold, and then where do you go once you meet it? Where do you go after that? Or is it just mainly to put pressure on the college to say, you know what, you need to lower your costs?
Well, certainly that is aimed to put pressure. But for undergrads, you're actually limited to in what you can borrow as an undergrad. $5,500 for the student for the first year, $6,500 second year, and $7,500 for the third and fourth year. But there's also massive changes to Parent Plus loans, which is another option that parents have from the federal government. But those interest rates are also very high, and there's really that's not going to be there anymore. So you go to the private market, and perhaps the private market will do underwriting and say, well, maybe this school isn't a great option because, only 40% graduate in 4 years. So, there's going to be definitely some pressure on colleges as well.
Part of this is, in addition to writing a check, a lot of these schools are saying, okay, we will in fact look at our curriculum, look at our politics on our campus to make sure that both sides are being fairly heard. What are they doing? What can they do? Is this really a problem?
Yes, it is a problem. And if you hear Alan Garber, Harvard's president, talk, he has said in interviews that one of the things that bothers him the most is students don't feel comfortable speaking in classes because they feel like their professors and their TAs have a certain perspective that's very much to the left.
A liberal-leaning bias.
Yes.
Which we've all heard about higher education forever. Right?
And they're not welcome to express opinions, or they may not be welcome to participate in clubs. And that's something that he's concerned about. And they've tried to have all these different initiatives at Harvard to welcome other viewpoints, to make sure people feel comfortable. Now, a place like Stanford has always had the Hoover Institute.
Yep.
So that's always drawn, a different voice. There's been discussion of other schools adding those. Some have. I think the University of Florida may have had. I know the University of North Carolina added those kinds of institutes. But then again, you can't say we need conservative viewpoints and we're only going to hire conservative viewpoints, because then you're limiting who you're hiring. And that's that's what all of these cases are about. Is civil rights investigations are at Harvard and a bunch of other places saying, they are considering race in admissions in a covert way. So there's a lot going on.
Wow. Just real quick, 30 seconds. Are we going to get a similar type deal, detente with Harvard, do we think?
It's hard to tell. There's probably negotiations going on right now, but we'll have to wait and see.